Well, hello there, folks. We're talking about February 18th, and we're in Queenstown. So, of course, first is breakfast, and it's breakfast with a view. It's on the 6th floor with windows all the way around and looking out over the mountains and the lake. I can't remember, is it Wakatipo?
Yeah.
Huge lake there in Queenstown. You probably know the dimensions of it.
Oh, it's
80 kilometers long?
125.
125,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's not super wide, but it's really a long lake.
Right. Anyway, so we had breakfast, and then we headed out up to the head of the lake. Yeah. We went to the, the head of the lake to a town called Glenorchy, where we were going to take a jet boat ride up the river.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us almost an hour to make that drive. Queenstown is about in the middle of the 125-mile lake.
In Queenstown, we read 16,000 people?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And Glenorchy, 450.
Right. So the views were stunning going up to the lake because it's in the mountains. And so, yeah, the views were stunning. And it's on the dry side of the mountains. And so you get this texturing. I guess it's kind of like California in places where the mountainsides are quite dry, and then you've got the water down below.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a contrast.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to Glenorchy, and we got outfitted with our gear. Right, we put on life jackets, and they gave us these scarves to wear that we could pull up over our face because they hadn't had a lot of rain recently, and so the wind, which comes whipping down these mountain valleys, was kicking up a bunch of dust. And as a matter of fact, you could see the dust from the road as we were driving along.
Yeah, you could see it on the horizon. It's sort of like skiing, something you would use for skiing, like your neck warmer for skiing, pull up over your nose. It was like that. And so that kept the dirt out of your face, or it kept you from breathing it.
It's kind of counterintuitive in a way, isn't it? That to go out on the river, you had to protect yourself from dust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, we got on these jet boats and took off.
And these jet boats are really cool because they're specially made for these rivers in New Zealand. And they have a very extremely shallow draw, like a few inches.
Yeah.
So they don't have motors that go into the water. They have the jet stream that comes out because the waters are so shallow. So they're very cool.
Yes, they're highly maneuverable. They can go in just inches deep water. And the guides love them because they're very macho. Anyways, so we would go along, and the drivers would take you. First of all, we were on a lake, and then we started working up the river, and so we'd suddenly be whipping from one channel to the other. And this is a braided river in this area, and we keep referring to braided rivers, but we haven't really explained it. But I think in tomorrow's video, or the next one of them in here, where we've got some time to kill, we'll talk about braided rivers and show you pictures. But basically, it's this idea that it's these rivers are in an alluvial area, so they have a really wide riverbed, but only narrow channels weave back and forth through it. And that'll make more sense when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah, so they would go whipping around,
Mm-hmm.
and then our guide, who was favoring us because we were old people, he would give us this sign like this that meant that he was going to do a 360
Right.
and whip this thing into a 360.
And he did, and he'd go around in a pew. But he asked permission first because he didn't want to do something people didn't want. So the old people said, yes, do the 360.
And they cheered when he did. So, anyways, it was a lot of fun. We went really fast. We were going at one point something like 90 kilometers an hour, so close to 60 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. That's the fastest he got.
Right. Most of the time he was doing around 70, 75 kilometers an hour. I got to sit up front for a little while on the way back, and I could see what the speedometer was saying.
Ah. And, you know, he was so nice when we got done, and we're finding this throughout New Zealand, is we thanked him so much, and he said, just let me tell you, he said, I want to thank you, because without you being here, I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
And really made me think about COVID and restrictions and how important the tourism is to them and how appreciative they are.
Right.
It was
Good point.
really good. Really great.
One of the things that we did as we went up the river is we would stop periodically. And one place that we stopped was where in Lord of the Rings they filmed Isengard, which just looked kind of a field next to the river.
Nothing special.
Didn't look special at all. And then if you looked up on the mountains next to it, there was this big notch in the mountaintop. He says, and that's where the dam was, that, you know, the CGI dam that the giant trees knocked down to flood out Isengard. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that he pointed out was that this river had a really special status for the Maori. Matter of fact, the Maori still own this area, and these jet boat operators and so forth are working on a concession, through a concession with the Maori, because the river, the Dart River, it was special because it was a major source of greenstone that they call punamo. And it's a type of jade, and they use it in as jewelry, and they sell a lot of it as that. But it had other meanings to them, spiritual meanings,
Sacred meanings.
Sacred meanings. Yeah, that's the better word. And so the guides showed us stones that they had just picked up out of the river that were out of this jade. It was very interesting. What else? Let's see if we have some notes here.
It's starting to get dark, so we can't read our notes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the return to Queenstown is next, right?
Yeah, we took the bus, the special bus, back to Queenstown, and just had a quiet evening. We walked along the lake, and one of the things that we walked by was a Moa statue.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a picture of Terry by it. And for those of you that are emu fans, you probably know what a moa is, but a moa was a flightless bird. Matter of fact, the world's largest flightless bird.
Mm-hmm.
And it had 4 species, I guess, here in New Zealand. The Maori hunted them all to extinction, but the biggest one, which is what this model was made after, was like 9 foot tall. It was a big ass bird.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember anything about what we had for dinner or
Is
where
that
we
when
went.
we went to the Thai restaurant?
I don't know. We may have gone to the Thai
I
restaurant
don't
that
know.
night.
Is that night or the next night?
Right.
Anyway,
So I think that's all
that's
we
it.
have to report.
Okay.
We'll
Love you. What?
Yeah, love you.
Bye.
Bye.